Well, this afternoon we are going to deal with one of the excuses that many people are using to not go canvassing. I know this is Sabbath, it's not a seminar. I'm not going to teach you how to sell books. We'll do that after sunset today. So today is going to be a full day for you. And this is what happens when we don't have the proper time during the week, right? We crowd everything during the weekend. So by God's grace, it's going to be all exciting. So one of the excuses many use is that they don't want to make out of God's work a sales event. And I remember as when I was an Orthodox, I was considering the sale of spiritual books a sin. But we will see in the afternoon what is the reason that our literature has to get in a certain way in the hands of the people, and not just any way, right? It has to be a certain way which will make people appreciate it more and value it more and keep it for a long time until they are impressed to read and be convinced and converted. So today we are going to talk about the methods Jesus used to reach out to people until conversion, not only until conviction. Actually, the methods he used were very adequate to make people become missionaries, not only members in the church. And the methods he used in at least one instance was exactly the methods that we are using in canvassing. So when you go out canvassing, don't feel bad about insisting for people to get our literature, because Jesus used the same methods in working with people. And this is really interesting. In my personal studies is where I found out that he actually used the same methods. So we'll talk about canvassing and its mission. And I want to tell you from the beginning that the mission number one of canvassing is not the sale of the book. It's actually the salvation of souls. The preaching of the gospel to those that do not know the Lord. But we do it through books because books are the silent preachers. When you go into a plaza and you preach the gospel, people pass by, they hear a word, and they may never hear it again. And they may not have enough foundation for them to make a decision. It's important because you raise the interest, but then they are supposed to read and study until they are convicted. When you leave a book in somebody's home, that silent preacher is going to be there for a long time, and it may do a more thorough work than the preacher himself. Because the preacher preaches, goes away, maybe never comes back. But the book is going to stay with them for a long time. I know friends who had kept books in their homes for a long time, and then as the need came about, for example, they decided that they wanted to become vegetarian. And they remembered that somebody gave them a book, a cooking book with vegetarian cooking. So he went and cooked and got interested in more than just cooking. So I have many friends that kept their literature in the home for a long time, and then they got to reading it. And they were converted. So the silent preachers are important. But people do not have much of what we offer just because we are not as aggressive as we should be in our evangelistic outreaches. So canvassing is a work that will lead to saving souls. But how do you do it? Because the canvasser usually goes, offers the books, leaves, and maybe never come back. So besides the book, how do you make sure that that person will be led to making a decision and to conversion? The methods of Jesus will teach us just that. But first of all, let's consider a couple of quotes from the Spirit of Prophecy about canvassing. In Colporteur Ministry, page 7, it says, when church members realize the importance of the circulation of our literature, they will devote more time to this work. Well, it doesn't say that we devote no time to this work. We do devote more time, but when we are convinced of the effect this literature will have, what will we do? We are going to increase our efforts in this aspect, not decrease it. I went to a country and they were having 5 canvassers. We had a seminar. Many people attended, surprisingly. It wasn't an announced seminar, but I just postponed my return because we wanted to have a seminar. And we announced it at the public conferences that we had. And so people changed their tickets, bus tickets, train tickets, so they can stay for the seminar. We had about 70 people. It's not a few, it's a lot of people. But at the end, we made an appeal to those that wanted to become canvassers. And 45 of them came out. 45 of them. So how much did we multiply the number? 8 times. So where there were 5, now there were 45 that wanted to be canvassers. I got excited. I came home and I went back in a couple of years to the same country, same place. So I saw some of the people that came out when we made an appeal for canvassers. And I asked them, hey, how is the canvassing work? And they said, well, we never did it. What happened? We were not given work, they said. So they experienced a revival, but not a reformation in the canvassing work. Because revival is what? Revival is the resurrection of the spirit of canvassing. But then reformation is a reorganization, is coming back to what we used to do, right? To having canvassing and so. So I realized that it is not enough for us to resurrect the desire to canvass, but actually follow through with the project, and not only with the canvassing project, but with Bible studies, and then finally baptism. And canvassing work has been used everywhere where we had canvassing. It was used to open new fields. So, very soon we are going to have a nice project in Raleigh. We want that place to have a nice group after the canvassing is done. So how do we do it? June 1st. There is no higher work than evangelistic canvassing, for it involves the performance of the highest moral duties. So why is canvassing important? I want to tell you, brother and sister. I mean, you can go to the pulpit and have a poor sermon. And some people might be impressed, even by poor sermons, right? There are people that are hungry, they hear a word here and there, and they are happy. But you know as a speaker that you had a poor sermon. But when you go canvassing, there is not such a thing as little success without full consecration. Nobody will be impressed unless you are really consecrated. Like I said, you deal with people that you never met, and you have no time to see. I mean, you have no time to know. In order for you to have success, you have to have the presence of the Lord with you to tell you, Adrian, this is the book this person needs. And you take out exactly the book that person needs. You will see tonight, after sunset, there are different ways to find out things about people before they open the door. But without the presence of the Lord with you, who promised that I will be with you always, you will not have the desired success. It involves the performance of the highest moral duties when you go canvassing. This is why I say that canvassing prepares you for any career that you may choose in your life. The canvassing work, properly conducted, is missionary work of the highest order. And it is as good and successful a method as can be employed for placing before the people the important truth for this time. I'm not going to insist too much. But I want you to bring you to this moment. When Jesus said to the disciples, "Lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white, all ready for harvest." Now, what was Jesus talking about? Where was he showing when he told them, "Raise up your eyes and look, lift up your eyes and look"? Where was he showing? The fields are ready for harvest. He was showing to the multitudes that were coming from where? From Samaria. Oh, wait a minute. Who were the Samaritans? The Samaritans were also part of God's people, remember? But the Jews had prejudices against the Samaritans. And Jesus made a special effort to reach out to this category of people. But why were they coming? They were coming as a result of what? Of one soul that believed the truth. And how did that soul go into the city? Did this lady go into the city and everybody was ready waiting for her? Or maybe did she go from house to house maybe? How did she call everybody? Were they waiting for her somewhere in a place everybody gathered together? I think she went throughout the city. I think she went around running and telling people, shouting maybe to them. I've met somebody who told me everything about my life. Isn't this the Christ? Maybe it is Christ. So I imagine that people followed her, heard her and said, where is he? Where is he? He's right there. So he came running towards him. She became a canvasser. But she could not become a canvasser unless she had a contact with the canvasser of canvassers, who is Jesus Christ. Was Jesus a canvasser? Was he traveling on foot from house to house? From city to city, was he? And so it happens that Jesus actually is being presented in the Bible as one who is knocking at the door. Isn't this what how the Bible presents Jesus? Behold, I stand at the door and do what? Who knocks at doors today? The canvassers, right? My question is, how long has Jesus knocked at the door of our hearts? Remember my story? The first time I heard him knocking at the door of my heart was when I was 6 years old. And I heard it throughout my life for other 12 years until I decided to open the door. Did he give up on me? He did not give up on me. He came back. He never left actually. He kept knocking at the door of my heart. Now, the first reason people don't go canvassing is because they are afraid of rejection. They are afraid that if they have no success for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, they will never canvass again. And I met persons like this who went canvassing for a while, they were rejected, they got tired, they got scared, they didn't go anymore. Now, how long has Jesus knocked at the door of our hearts after so many rejections? He never gave up, did he? He never gave up. And I'm thankful that he kept knocking for other 12 years. And I think he would have still knocked hadn't I received him at the age of 18. Again, in Revelation chapter 3, verse 18, he is being presented as a merchant who goes from place to place and sells goods. And the goods that he is selling are what? Gold tried in the fire, white raiment, and eye salve. He is being presented, and the Spirit of Prophecy comments on that as well. Jesus was interested in everyone, not only in some classes of people. And this is the reason, in Luke 17:11 we read, "And it came to pass as he went to Jerusalem that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee." In this context, according to other translations, Jesus actually didn't go through Samaria and Galilee, he went between the two cities. If you read different translations, you will find out that Jesus went between the two cities, not through the middle of them. And we know this because he was seen by 10 special individuals. They were known by people, and by us today, they are not known by names. We know the names of the 12 disciples, but we don't know the name of the 10 lepers, do we? Why? Because they were called with a title, and that title was what? Lepers. That's all we know about them. They were 10 lepers. Unless Jesus went between the two cities, he could never find these lepers. Why? Because the lepers were living where? Outside of the city. So you could go in the city as long as you wanted. You could not reach the lepers because they were outside of the city. But Jesus made no difference. He wanted to reach out to them as well. So he went and he gave them a chance. Only one of them was saved, but all of them were healed, right? All of them benefited from Jesus. Canvass to save. Canvassing is not only, to leave a house in somebody's, a book in somebody's home. Canvassing is for souls to be saved. We are supposed to use this as a method of work for people to be saved. In canvassing, you have to make a preparation, spiritual preparation, before you show up at people's homes. And Jesus did this. He studies, he surveyed the area. He made sure he went exactly to the place where he would meet the people he wanted to approach. Do you think he really wanted to meet this Samaritan woman? Do you think he wanted to meet this specific Samaritan woman? I think so. This is why he surveyed the area and he found out that the time that she would come to the well, right? Because she did not go in the morning as everybody else. You know why, right? Because she didn't want to meet people, because she didn't have a good fame. So she was going there in the afternoon, and Jesus went exactly at about the time she was coming. He surveyed the place. He came to the right place at the right time. And as we go canvassing, we need to do the same thing. Like we do in Raleigh or everywhere else, we survey the place and we make sure we place our tent where it is supposed to be and reach out to those that we want to reach out to. In the approach, Jesus eliminated prejudices. John 4:7 says, "There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, Give me to drink." How did he eliminate prejudices through this? It was not customary for a Jew to ask a favor from a Samaritan, let alone that kind of a Samaritan. Right? She was surprised. She became more open to talking to Jesus. Her interest was raised. She wondered, how come you talk to me? In canvassing, we are supposed to eliminate prejudices. Because when people see us from far, they'd rather not open the door than do. But we are supposed to eliminate prejudices. And in Sweden, when I went to Sweden, I couldn't speak the language, so that was a minus. So I had to choose body language as much as I could to become friends with people. They have big properties because the country is big and there are few people in Sweden. So we are going from house to house with a motorcycle. Yeah, that's how far the houses were. But the property was so big and they had so big windows because in the winter the days are so short, they need a lot of light, that they could see you for maybe 3, 4, 5 or 10 minutes until you got to the door. So they were watching you, and by the time you would knock at the door, they would decide whether they would open the door or not. So you had to eliminate prejudices before you even talk to the person. It took longer than usual, but you would eliminate prejudices by playing with the cat, with a dog. Dogs are friendly, so. Smell a flower, so that they would see you, they would say, wow, this man has an interest in what I have an interest. He likes my flowers. This is a good person. Let me open the door. Right? So Jesus eliminated prejudices, and depending on the area, we do the same. We follow his example. So don't think that we are deceiving people. Of course, you are not supposed to play with a dog if you don't love dogs, because they feel you don't like them, and they may bite you because of the adrenaline smell, right? They feel when you are afraid. If you are afraid of dogs, prefer to shout from behind the fence. Don't go in. In the introduction, Jesus says something extraordinary that would catch her attention. And he said, if thou knowest the gift of God and who it is that says to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given you the living water. Wait a minute. How can you give me water when you don't have what to take water out with, right? So he says something extraordinary, something that drew her attention. In your introduction as a canvasser, you are supposed to do the same. In Brazil, for example, they go to the people and they simply say, did you know that an apple can save your life? Apple, a fruit, an apple. Did you know that an apple can save your life? And people are like, what are you talking about? So, awakens the interest. Let me see, what do you want to say? In other places you don't say that. If you say that in America, they will stone you, An apple saves your... But in Brazil, it works pretty well, and you go right into the subject. Here, you have to be more cordial, more presentable, right? But you say something extraordinary about what you have. And this is what Jesus did. He says something extraordinary. I won't go into details because then you learn how to sell on Sabbath, right? You'll find out in after sunset. And then after the introduction, he made a comparison between what he was offering and what she had come to the water well for, right? He said, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. He made a comparison. He knew the lady had an interest in water, right? That's why she had come so long distance. She came for water. So Jesus made a comparison between what she had interest in and what he was offering as being superior to what she had come to take. Right? This is really important when we deal with people because they have their prejudices. They think they know a lot. So you have to kind of bring something new in comparison to what they have, or books that they read. There is a lot of deceit. For example, if you talk about health, are there healthy people without Christ? What methods do they use for healing? New Age methods, right? New Age methods. They are. So when you go, they will simply ignore you because they think they already have everything they need. So you have to make sure they know that what you offer is better than what they have. And this is what Jesus did. And that's impressive when you look at it. And then Jesus said to her in John 4:15, the woman said unto him, the woman said to Jesus, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come I hither to draw. What happened? After Jesus compared the two, he convinced her that what he was offering was better. So what did she do? She said, please, give it to me, give it to me. So this is how we have to consider our books so superior that even our attitude, the way we speak about what we have, what we offer, would make them just ask for it. I mean, I went to places where there were many people. You know, sometimes we do that. We present what we have to many people, and we say, we are sorry we don't have enough for everybody. Right? When they hear that, they crowd to get what you have. And this is what this lady did. Her interest became so big that she said, I can't leave this place without having it. Give it to me, please. Give it to me. Right? And then Jesus just changed the subject. Because she got the message that he was giving her until now, right? She was interested. But he did not want her to only get a physical blessing, because that's what she thought, that the water that Jesus was offering was pure physical satisfaction, right? Because she mentioned, give me from this water so I don't come here anymore. So she thought that that water was giving her physical satisfaction. Jesus didn't want to stop there. He wanted to pass on, to make a bridge, to build a bridge to the spiritual things. And this is exactly what canvassers do. They begin with health, with the physical, and then they make a bridge to the spiritual. And this is what Jesus did. And it looks like what he had said before had nothing to do with what he said next. He decided to speak to her about the controversy that there was between the Samaritans and the Jews. He went into spiritual things. He went into spiritual things, just like that. And then they go into doctrines, right? God is a spirit. And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. It's already doctrine, isn't it? So when you go canvassing, just make sure you offer people the possibility to know that you also, your church, your God, offers spiritual satisfaction, offers spiritual fullness, right? Unless you do that, your job is not complete as a canvasser. It's not complete. You have to make sure you offer people the possibility to study the Bible. What we do, where we have the Bible study course, we ask them, would you be interested in a Bible study course? You know, it's free, it's everything. And then some people say yes. Or, would you be interested in a visit? Right? So we offer them the possibility to follow up with spiritual things. And then the conviction came. And the woman said unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. She was convicted, wasn't she? She was convinced that he was the Christ. I know he will come. And then in conclusion, Jesus said unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. Wasn't this why Jesus wanted to talk to her? Wasn't this what he wanted to show her? That he was the Messiah? But he didn't go straight into saying, I am the Messiah. Now imagine, what would the lady say if he was sitting on the well, she came to draw water, and he would go to her and say, I am the Messiah? Would she have believed? She would have run away. Right? But no. He took so long until he finally told her, I am the Messiah. Did she accept it now? Yes. Why? Because he used tact. He used tact. So some people ask, why do you have to go from house to house and give people books? It's one of the most successful ways to do it. I mean, go and invite people to church. Will they come? No, some will, but not everyone. You leave a book in their homes, and they will come sooner rather than later. And then, after the conclusion, comes the action. And this is what happens to everyone that you really use Christ's methods to reach out to. This is what will happen. The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city and said to the men, come see a man which told me all things that I ever did. Is not this the Christ? And as a result, remember, what was the result? Then Jesus says to the disciples, lift up your eyes and look. The fields are white, ready for harvest. And there are people coming, thanks to a testimony given by a lady. And remember, she came to draw water from the well in the afternoon. Why? Because she didn't want to meet people. Where did she go when she went back to the city? She went to the people she didn't want to meet before. How does that happen? Like I told you, in my childhood I did a lot of bad stuff. Guess what was my first desire when I was converted? To go to the people that I didn't want to see before. People that I had done wrong to. It was them that I looked for. Because I knew God forgave me. But I wasn't feeling good unless I knew I would ask forgiveness from men, from people. So I had to go return the bicycle to the person that I stole a bicycle from when I was a child. I know it's not a confession time, but I took a bicycle from someone. So when I got converted, I purchased a new bicycle. The other one was really old, but I didn't have it anymore. So I thought I'd rather give a better one. So I went and purchased a bicycle with whatever money I had. And I went to that person, and he was like, really? After so long time, you give me a new bicycle? Wow, I didn't even know you were the one who stole it. She went back to the people she didn't want to meet. This is what God can do in someone's life. Now, if you talk to Brother Radu Ionica, you know Brother Radu Ionica, right? He gave me Bible studies when I was coming to the church. And he can tell you that when they saw me going to the evangelistic meetings, they didn't have a good impression. Some of the people were saying, oh Lord, couldn't you find somebody else? But praise the Lord, they had patience with me. When I first went canvassing, I went with two young ladies. One of them is Brother Radu's wife now, and the other one is Brother Marianne's wife. So, Luisa, yeah. So, they sent me with them. And of course, I didn't know what canvassing was. It was the first day. So I thought, oh, the reason they sent me with two girls was for me to be a bodyguard for them. So they were going and canvassing, and I was standing on the road like this. And they were trying to, convince people that what they had was good, and some people were rude. So I was just making a step towards them like this, and they would buy the book. Not all of them, But you see, people that sometimes we don't put price on, we don't value, are going to become tools that God will use to bring many to the truth. Amen. Now I'm asking you, we don't know what there is behind the door. We don't. And we may decide not to knock at that door. And what if behind that door is somebody like me? Boxer, martial artist, violent, rude, who knows? But who will become a missionary for God. You never know. I mean, who knows how many people have been waiting for years here in Roanoke for someone to knock at their door. And looking and longing for it. And nobody shows up. You know, I know you have a lot of projects here. Health projects, cooking classes. And I'm really, really glad for it. You can reach out to a class of people that probably as a canvasser you would not reach out to, right? But a canvasser can reach out to the other class that do not come for cooking classes. So the question is it worth it? The sacrifice, the effort, the rejection, and anything that we will meet on the way while canvassing, is it worth it? It is. I can tell you. I mean, that sister came to my door exactly in the moment that I was praying. Because remember, I had the Bible in the house and I woke up at night and I started reading. I was actually memorizing Matthew chapter 5. When, with a friend actually, I invited a friend over. He is now also a Christian. He's an Adventist as well, a reformer. I invited him to read the Bible with me. And we were reading together, memorizing Matthew chapter 5 when the canvasser knocked at the door. I couldn't understand everything in the Bible. So we were praying that we would understand, and there comes the explanation, right? There comes the answer, right at the door. How can that happen? I mean, I would never probably go to church. I would never seek for salvation in a group of people, no. But somebody came to look for me. It was a canvasser. What an answer to their prayers for 30 years, right? What an answer. May the Lord help us, brethren. I become emotional when I speak about my experience, especially canvassing, because this is the work that saved my life. You know, I know the Lord saved my life, not works, right? Not the work itself. But I don't think there was going to be a more suitable way for the Lord to reach out to me than somebody knocking at the door of the place where I was. And I tell you, there are many people in the same situation. Maybe tonight, if there is time, I will share a couple of experiences with you from canvassing, so you understand really what motivates me. And I'm happy, really happy that, first of all, I don't have any other responsibility than canvassing. Can you imagine? You know, before I had more, so it was hard to do everything the right way. So now I only have the canvassing, and I couldn't be happier. Which means that I can meditate on canvassing and on ways to motivate young people, on ways to reach out to people through canvassing. That's all I do. And I couldn't be happier. So please pray for me. Pray for the canvassing departments at union levels and field levels, and pray for my daughter, please. She has it in her heart. I'm pretty sure it's not, it's not genetics, right? Because I didn't have that in me originally, right? But she was impressed by participating in one of the projects, and I really don't want her to stop. I don't want her to stop, and if that's all she is going to be in life, I will be happy. Amen. I will be happy. besides her dreams. I know she has her dreams, but this is actually what I dreamed of having children that would love canvassing. So please pray for her as well, for my family, and pray for these young people that I see them kind of anxious to go canvassing tomorrow. And guess who told me wanted to go canvassing the other day? Can I reveal this, Brother Suresh Kumar? Can I reveal it? Brother Suresh Kumar told me he wanted to go canvassing one of these days. Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
So adults are invited, right?
Yes, please. Yes. So please make your preparations. Like I said, I couldn't go into too many details, but this is the method Jesus used. I was impressed when I read it with a canvasser mind, because I had read John 4 before. But when you read it with a canvasser's mind, it's just wonderful how he used the same methods that we are using today. It's amazing. So please pray for us. Pray for the canvassing work. There is a lot to do. I will be traveling to Ghana and to Liberia very soon. So please pray for that. Kenya is going on by God's grace in canvassing. They started already. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much. May God bless you. I will go too far if I don't stop here, okay?